Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Welcome to Homeland Heroes Salute Podcast with your hosts, Doug Macedo and Jim Roberg.
I'm Dr. Anthony Cave, and that's my internal carotid artery right next to my internal jugular vein. Watch it get big. And right next to it is a bundle of nerves that controls how I get triggered, both emotionally and physically. That bundle of nerves is called the stellate ganglion. It's what makes your heart rate and blood pressure go up, your palms get sweaty, your pupils to dilate. It sounds like a panic attack or a PTSD flashback. It turns out that you can deactivate those nerves, literally blocking them with medications that dentists use to block the nerves that go to your teeth, like Novocaine, and you can provide profound and rapid symptom relief in patients struggling with PTSD and panic. This is the stellate ganglion block, and you see me doing it on a patient here. It's been used for about 100 years, and you're going to learn how it works, why it pairs so effectively with IV ketamine therapy, why you look like this afterwards, and what the side effects are. Let's start with how we do the stellate ganglion block. If you remember from the ultrasound, the internal carotid artery is right on top of the stellate ganglion. So 100 years ago, doctors would actually tug aside the carotid artery and put a needle through the front of the neck to numb the stellate ganglion. Later on, with the advent of X-rays, we were able to better visualize where we deposit that local anesthetic medication, and nowadays we use the ultrasound to better visualize the nerves and the blood vessels and go from the side of the neck to safely and effectively numb the stellate ganglion. With every technological advancement, the stellate ganglion block has become safer and more effective because we can visualize where those nerves are living and where we're injecting that Novocaine-like medication. That numbing medication only sits around in your body for a couple of hours, but the symptom relief can last much longer. We'll talk about that in just a minute. You can see me with the patient here as I scan the right side of her neck. We typically start by blocking the right side of the neck because most patients find relief by blocking the right side. In some patients, we'll then block the left side a couple days later. Once I've identified the right levels to inject on the stellate ganglion, you'll see on the left side of that screen my needle going to that site. The tremendous advantage of ultrasound is that I can visualize the other nerves in the area and the blood vessels to to minimize the risk of traumatizing them as we block the stellate ganglion. This is why the ultrasound has made this procedure so much safer and faster. Once I numb these nerves, the patient will begin to feel the effects within just a couple of hours, even if the PTSD has lasted for years. Next, how does the stellate ganglion block work? The human brain learns when something new happens, whether you're reading a book or doing a science experiment. When the brain gets used to a habitual response, it gets ingrained deeper and deeper, whether it's a slot machine, a shot of whiskey, a cigarette, or even invoking your body's fear response over and over again to the same triggers. Your body's fear response is reinforced every time it is triggered. And as this happens over time, your body gets used to responding to triggers in the same way. This is caused by your sympathetic nervous system, that fight-flight response that releases a surge of adrenaline or noradrenaline every time you get triggered. And if you can break that response, even for a brief period of time, your brain can now learn that there is a different way of responding to those triggers. We call this neuroplasticity, literally rewiring nerves in your brain, showing that there are different ways of thinking, different ways of responding to those triggers that once stimulated your sympathetic nervous system so strongly. Because now, when your body is exposed to that trigger, but the fight-flight response is attenuated or weakened because we've blocked the nerves in the stellate ganglion, the mind-body connection can be reset. IV ketamine also promotes a powerful neuroplasticity that can synergistically combine with the stellate ganglion block, so your mind and body can learn new ways to respond to those triggers. I have many videos on IV ketamine. You can see them in the link below. The stellate ganglion block, or SGB for short, and ketamine sound like miracles, right? That's not true. They are not a panacea. They're not a magic bullet. The only magic, if you will, that comes out of this experience is that it can help uncover your inner healing potential. That healing potential is often blocked after years and years of betrayed trust, of trauma, either emotional or physical. And these therapies help reset your mind and body so that your innate healing capacity can be accessed again. And that healing capacity doesn't need medications as often as it might have needed before. It doesn't have the same side effects. This healing potential is uncovered when your body learns new ways to respond to these old triggers. And that is why the benefits of the SGB and IV ketamine can last months and years, long after the medications have circulated out of your body. And therapy during that window of relief from the sympathetic nervous system can fundamentally change your relationship with those triggers so that you have more mastery over them and them less over you. Put another way, water pressure builds up behind a dam, like when you repress and suppress past memories or traumas, allowing the water pressure to rise higher and higher. Raising the dam to temporarily keep back the waves of trauma simply raises that water pressure. Therapy with SGB and IV ketamine can actually lower the water pressure behind the dam to address the root causes of trauma that may have built up over months, years, or even decades. If you're struggling with depression, anxiety, PTSD, addiction, or even chronic pain, you deserve to re-access your inner healing potential. Patients have come to Claris Health with me in San Francisco from all over the world. And when we help them restore access to their innate healing capacity, they find lifelong learning, often without the risks of taking oral medications every day for the rest of their lives. And if you're learning something new, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share what you're learning with others. And consider joining my exclusive access group, where you can join our private Zoom streams to ask me your more personalized questions live. Click the link below and leave a comment if you've been working to heal from PTSD and share what's worked and what hasn't worked for you. Now let's move on to talk about the side effects of the stellate ganglion block. The most important side effect is Horner's syndrome. It's the physical effects of blocking the sympathetic nervous system. So we expect these effects. They only last a few hours, and they include a droopy eyelid, a constricted pupil, a stuffy nose, and a warm arm, warm hands, and warm fingers on the side that we blocked. And this should make sense to you because the sympathetic nervous system constricts blood vessels. It makes them smaller. So when we block, it makes the blood vessels dilate. When they dilate in your nose, it can cause congestion and a stuffy nose. When they dilate in your arms, it allows more blood to reach your hand and your fingers, and they will warm up. And these are the other reasons why we use the stellate ganglion block. Like in patients with Raynaud's syndrome, when they have icy cold hands and fingers, blocking the stellate ganglion will allow them to warm up again. Or in patients with complex regional pain syndrome, whose pain is heavily mediated by the sympathetic nervous system, and blocking the sympathetic nervous system can help profoundly decrease their pain. Blocking the stellate ganglion can also block the nerves nearby it, like the vagus nerve, the recurrent laryngeal nerve, and the brachial plexus. The brachial plexus are the nerves that go into your arm to help give you sensation and motor function of your extremity. If the Novocaine-like medication reaches these nerves, it can cause hoarseness, it can cause an elevated heart rate and blood pressure, and it may even cause a little bit of weakness in that arm. Once again though, these side effects are typically transient and only last a couple of hours if they occur. Nerve injury is always a theoretical complication with any nerve block, and you need to let your doctor know if you have any pre-existing nerve problems or neuropathies, or if you have any heart problems because of those temporary side effects that can affect your cardiovascular system. I hope you learned something new about the stellate ganglion block and IV ketamine therapy. If you or a loved one is struggling with PTSD or other mental health conditions, I hope you feel more confident to advocate for yourself to get the care that you deserve. Let me know below what other topics you want to learn about. And remember, you have more power over your health than you've probably ever been told.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Homeland Heroes Salute podcast. I'm Jim. Thank you all for joining us today. I want to talk about something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. So recently, the Homeland Heroes Foundation they set up an event talking about the stellate ganglion block. You've heard us talk about it. You've heard me talk about it. And so we did a couple things. We talked about. It was a 3-part series. We talked about. We watched some testimonials. We had some people come in and give some testimonials, and then Dr. Lynch came in and talked about the procedure and how it works and the science behind it. I'm a recipient of the stellate ganglion block, and it worked amazing for me. And I wanted to talk about this because one of my good friends, I just helped him, and he went down to Maryland and he saw Dr. Lynch today, and he's not comfortable coming on yet, but he got the stellate ganglion block today. And I texted him and I said, "Hey man, today's the day. How you doing? Like, what time's your appointment?" He said, "Oh, it was at 8:30 this morning." I texted him around 11:30 lunchtime. And so I texted him. He said, It's really crazy, man. So he said I walked in and I met Dr. Lynch, and his first question was if I knew you, meaning me, if he knew me, and he was like, yeah, he helped me, get here and get the shot, and he was like, that's a fucking really solid dude, and I'm sorry for swearing, but that's what he said. And it made me feel pretty good about that. It helped me. I was struggling really bad with my post-traumatic stress disorder. If you watched our first episode, if you haven't, go do it now. I'm an Army veteran. I served in the Army from 2005 to 2010. I was in the military police corps. I was deployed to Iraq from 2006 to 2008 in Baghdad and Yusufia is where I spent my time. And I struggled for a long time with my mental health, and now I'm doing amazing. It's been a little over a year since I got my stellate ganglion block, And I wanted to talk about this because my buddy, he was really nervous about it. So I've been talking to him about this for about a year now, talking to him about the stellate ganglion block, talking to him about, you know, how it changed my life, sharing my story, uh, talking to him about the procedure, talking to him about the effects that it's had on me. And I want to really get into all that, but I don't have time today. But I want to tell you guys that everybody out there who's suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, there's hope. There's a path to recovery, and maybe the stellate ganglion block isn't the path for you, right? But keep searching, right? So I've been seeing more and more veteran friends of mine, veterans that I served with, people that I was in the same brigade or battalion as, and even some that I don't know, strangers who are committing suicide. And it hurts every time that my brothers and sisters are suffering alone, suffering in silence, and they're choosing to end their life because they don't. For me, when I was in those shoes and I was thinking about that, it didn't seem like I had a whole lot of hope. I didn't really have a whole lot of things to turn to. I didn't really have any. There was no winning this war, and that was tough. That was a tough pill to swallow. And then randomly I found the stellate ganglion block, and I was able to get it, and it's completely changed my life. So I talked to my buddy, right? And I was like, so how are you feeling now? And he was like, man, it was like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders. He was like, 10 minutes, I was leaving 10 minutes after I got the shot. And I just started busted out laughing. I was just laughing hysterically at nothing. I was just laughing. And I was laughing because it just felt so, it was like my whole body just released all of this trauma and all of this pain that I had. And he's like, I'm real tired. And I was like, man, I was real tired after too. It was like, I just did a ruck march, and I just unpacked my whole ruck, put everything away. And now what? Now I'm tired. Now I just want to go to bed, right? So I wanted to bring this up on the Homeland Heroes Salute podcast because it's relevant, because the Homeland Heroes Foundation just put together an incredible event with some incredible people talking about the stellate ganglion block, talking about the effects that it's had. And if you were able to go, you know what I'm talking about. If you weren't, I really encourage you to look it up and to reach out to the Homeland Heroes Foundation and talk to them about the stellate ganglion block, about the stories that they've heard, about all the things that are changing with PTSD, and that there's recovery now, and there's a path forward for you to feel better, because 22 a day is 8,030 a year, and that's 8,030 heroes that are taking their lives for whatever reason. It doesn't matter what that reason is, and there is hope, there is help, and I want everybody to know that. For me, I have a young family. I have a wife and young kids, and you know, when I was thinking about being one of those 22 a day, really thinking about taking my own life, it was crazy to me. Who would think like that? How do you think like that? I have all these responsibilities, right? So I've taken the steps that I've needed to help myself on a path that I can be in a good place. And I want everybody to know that you can too. And I really wanted to share my buddy's story because, like I said, it's been a long journey for him. Him and I have talked on numerous occasions for a long time about the stellate ganglion block, about all the different things. I had just had the procedure done about 5 months ago when I met him, and it's been incredible for him. And he just got it today and he's already feeling better. So I can't wait to see what the next month holds. Then I've tried to help some people who have said, well, I'm not really a big fan of medical intervention. And I get that. And you should absolutely do what you feel is right for you. But know that if you're struggling, you don't have to struggle alone, right? So maybe the stellate ganglion block is not something that you're interested in. Maybe it's something else. The Homeland Heroes Foundation hosted this event at a vet center. And if anybody has ever been to a vet center, they know it's very different from the VA in the fact that there is usually a lot less turnover with their counselors, that they don't report all that information to the VA, but they can get information from the VA. And it just feels like a safe place, a safe home for us to be, and talk about what's going on, what's happening, and how to get better. So the vet center was kind enough to host this event, and it was an incredible event. It was, we had General Bolduc there, who shared his story. And that was incredible. It was the first time I heard General Bolduc's story, and I was blown away. It's just been a crazy, crazy journey. And I just think that I wanted to come share a message of hope, of a fun, happy time for people, because nobody, when I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, it was take this medication. That was really your only option. Go to counseling and take this medication. And if it didn't work, try different counselings. Try different medications. Try upping your medications. Take more medications. And it just got crazy for a while. And so I think that there are a lot more options now. So we're living in a time when things are really starting to look up. Now, there's something else I wanted to talk about. So in my day job, I work with transitioning military members through the Skill Bridge program. And if you don't know about Skill Bridge and you are still active duty, it's open to your spouses as well. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about Skill Bridge. So Skill Bridge allows, there's been a lot of changes lately, but at its foundation, Skill Bridge allows you to take your last 180 days of active duty and do an internship with a company that is Skill Bridge approved. And there's a whole website. It's a DoD Skill Bridge program. You can look it up. And this is an incredible opportunity that I wish I could have had, as it possibly could have helped me transition a little bit easier, because transition was a little difficult for me. And I really would encourage any active duty service members to really look into Skill Bridge, and your spouse, look into Skill Bridge, see what opportunities are available to you, see what companies are available in the area that you're moving to, see what is out there for you to help you transition. The military still pays you, provides your benefits, and you just get some job experience. So yeah, take a look at Skill Bridge. Definitely, it's an incredible opportunity for anybody who can do it. It has to be command approved. There have been a lot of changes, like I said. So depending on your rank, you can do 60 to 120 days. In some branches are doing 180 still, some are 120. But there are, in your transition offices where you do your TAPS, there should be a Skill Bridge coordinator who can answer your questions and help you with that. And I don't feel like transition stops. I feel like I'm still transitioning out of the military. If you haven't seen any other episodes, again, go back and watch some. But Doug and I talk pretty often, and it always comes back to our Army days, right? So we're always living those memories, because they were some great times, and we should continue living those memories. And I really think that you're constantly just taking that experience in the military and transitioning it to wherever you are in life. And that's important. But SkillBridge can help with that transition and help you, find your forever career and your in your forever home. Instead of having to PCS every couple of years or every 5-10 years, whatever your service does. Yeah, so I just want to thank everybody for joining me today. I just wanted to share this story, and I'll catch you next time. Hopefully I'll have a guest. My guest bailed on me this time, but that's all right. And you see me and Doug and Ginger and David, and check out all our episodes. They're incredible. Doug, Ginger, and David are incredible people who have incredible things to share and incredible knowledge to share, and we can learn something from all of them. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it, and you can thank me later. All right, everybody. I salute you. Take care.
Thank you for supporting Homeland Heroes Salute Podcast. Please make sure to like and follow Homeland Heroes on all of their social media outlets. Homeland Heroes Salute Podcast is a Foo Bar Studios Sinister One co-production.